The biggest challenge that I'm now going through right now is losing my baby brother. He died by suicide. Everybody knows me as Jay Kent, singer-songwriter, recording artist, influencer out here in Sacramento, California. He had texted, said, I'm struggling mentally, but I'm gonna do better about reaching out to you more. Go to the room, get him up. So I open the door, get him up. And that was the last time I ever made contact with my brother. Look at his location again, it's not changing. It's not changing at all. I just knew something wasn't right. I lost a piece of me that day. Like, this is stuff I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. And I'm gonna dedicate the rest of my life to telling this story and keeping my brother's story out there so I could change other lives. Because I know there's so many people that are dying inside right now and they feel like they can't go through these things. So normalizing the fact that it's okay to cry out for help. It's okay. Because I'll tell you right now, my brother sat there every single day. And he looked me in my face and he would smile at me. You never know what's going on behind that smile. And I'm trying to show people out there, especially younger generation, if you fall down and you don't get back up, it's only going to get worse.
It's over.
I think the biggest challenge that I'm now going through right now is losing my baby brother. You know what I mean? He died by suicide and stuff, August 6th. Jake the Majesty, Jacob Kent to be exact. Rest in peace to my everything, surreal, man. Mind you, we were on August 3rd, we were celebrating the life of my cousin who passed away from epilepsy and Rett syndrome. Elena Marie, she was special needs. And that was like my grandma's world, but she was like my family, like I grew up with her, and she was just an amazing soul, just a genuine human being. She didn't do no harm to nobody. She just wanted to eat food and, live life. So dealing with that, she had passed away 2 months, literally 2-3 months ago.
And how old was she?
She was like 25 years old, literally. So she lived to be her age. What they say Rett syndrome is that there's a timeline of how long you live with that disease, with epilepsy, but it's like a enhanced situation for that because she had Down syndrome. There's a lot of stuff that came with it. But my grandma and my family, we raised her. We were there with her the whole way through. Especially my brother, who's attached to her, very attached to her. But yeah, so we were, we lost my mom 2023, March 15th, 2023, and then we lost my cousin.
Which sounds like a little sister almost.
Yeah, literally.
Super close.
Yeah. Literally like a little sister and stuff. And then, August 6th, not even like a couple days over a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We, just lost my brother in the most crazy way possible and stuff. And that's what's kind of like connected me into a different way.
Are you publicly saying how it happened?
Well, I haven't publicly went into how it happened just because I've been trying to take time off of social media.
Sure.
I put a PSA out there. I think before we connected, I had put that public service announcement to like my fans, the supporters, everyone reaching out, just letting them know like I'm working on stuff. Behind the scenes, I have my management, I have my team, I have my support system, family, just everybody there for me, and trying to make sure that I'm the most level-headed and clear-minded and just feeling loved and stuff. So they've been very, very supportive, very helpful of me as well. But yeah, it was crazy, by the way, Jay Kent, that's my name. I'm Jay Kent. I remember just now. I try to pick up on those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jake, and then I'm the oldest brother. Jay Kent. Everybody knows me as Jay Kent, singer-songwriter, recording artist, influencer out here in Sacramento, California. Yeah, my career is music and the entertainment business. But yeah, it's still a blur. It's a blur because it's like I remember it so vividly.
For the context,
surreal.
Do you want to say what happened to your brother? Or is that something?
Yeah, no, that's, at first I felt like At first, I felt like it was a personal thing, but I feel like the more you get a story out, because it's even how I connected with you, you know, it hit so home. So I guess you had on your show recently had talked about how, you know, he was suicidal and almost took his life from the, you know, from the Forest Hills Bridge, one of the third tallest bridge in the U.S. And that's how my brother, you know, died by suicide. Is he, you know, he jumped off the the Forest Hills Bridge, and you know, I mean, it's wild because we didn't see the signs. Looking back at everything,
you see him now. Looking back,
now you see him. Yeah. You see him completely.
Does that mess your head up? Like,
damn it, does. But then I got my manager and I got my second mom, Team Tina. Shout out to Team Tina. And I got my family and
that's good.
You know, my brother. You know, I have brothers that are not my brothers as far as biologically related, but blood wouldn't make us any closer. You know, so shout out to them. They know who they are. You know, and then I just have my personal support system of everybody that's in my life right now, making sure that I'm okay. But they, you know, they remind me constantly that I did the best that I possibly could. And I went through a lot with him. You know, we're talking about, he would have been 24, you know, on the 16th of September.
Do you know why? Like, did he leave a note or anything?
He did. I got his, I finally got his stuff back from evidence. You know, I went to the evidence department, picked up his phone. Right when I pick up his phone, I look at his messages. You know, it was unlocked and stuff. And then I go to his memo pad, and it's right there. It says, "To my family." That's how it started. Right there it was. But
damn,
he wrote a detailed note, you know. But he also let me know that this was not my fault, and this was more of just him not feeling anything left. And he missed my mom, he missed my cousin, and prior to that he had lost two of his best friends, childhood best friend, that he had lost to a fentanyl overdose. And he had passed away. That really hurt him. And then he lost our good brother, Hardy Rue, you know, a legend out here in Sacramento, but just an amazing person. His name was Boisterous. That way everyone called him the Boisterous one. But we lost him, you know, to an OD as well. And that mentally scarred my brother. That traumatized him. And, you know, watching him go through that and stuff it hit different. It really hit different. And then, you know, then we lost my mom. And as we lost my mom, he was taking care of her during the last couple months of her life, just taking care of her, taking her to work with him because he did Instacart and stuff. You know, he was a hustler. He would work his ass off. But they worked, and that night she came home. I remember he was like, you know, "Hey, mom's home." So we did a process where we would bring her upstairs and stuff. But that night he brought her home. We was in the back seat, and we opened the door, and she was not breathing, you know. And so we got her on the ground, like we did chest compressions. We took turns doing chest compressions when we were on the phone with the emergency, you know, taking turns, keeping my mom breathing, you know, with whatever life she had left. And so I know I could see it, if it did what it did to me, and I'm one of the strongest people, you know, in our family. If it did what it did to me, I know what it did to him. And he was just hurt, and it was just like he mentally checked out, you know, around that time. And I watched him slowly lose himself, but I would always try to like continue to just be there for him.
What do you mean slowly lose himself? He
just was like, you could just see he just became less social. You could tell he was becoming very depressed and stuff. And it was to the point, you know, I definitely would ask him a lot. I'd be like, "You don't feel suicidal, right? You don't feel like you're going to go through these situations, right?" I was like, "These thoughts are not loud in your head." Like, you know, my manager was always checking on him. Like, people were checking on him. You know, he lived with me and stuff, so he was always there with me. But it was just a point where he would smile and not tell you anything, you know. And it got to that point where you just felt like he was he thought everybody else's lives were so important that he didn't want to bother us with his, and it never should feel that way, you know. And I'm a tough love type of brother. That's all I've ever known, was being strong and, you know, showing that tough love. So I never had the compassionate side of like that my mom would give him or somebody would give him, you know, 'cause he's the middle child. So, you know, and I never had that growing up. I wasn't coddled. I was always like, you know, tough, like really tough. I had to have thick skin. And so being in that situation, I was giving him the love and structure and guidance I could, but I didn't know how to open up to him and express myself emotionally to him when I see him there every day, so he'd be crying, you know. It's hard for me to walk up to your younger brother and, you know, tell him things in that moment. You know,
well, especially when you have a completely different style of processing grief.
Yeah.
We can only give what we have ourselves, you know.
So
does that mess with you? You feel like you should have been there for him?
For sure. You know, I beat myself up about it a lot.
I can see how that would happen.
I do. I beat myself up about it a lot, but I don't blame myself just because I know that I did everything I could. And I was literally there for him in every other type of way possible. Everything. You know, I went through it with him with everything. You know, when he make little stupid mistakes and be around the wrong people and get himself involved in stuff, you know, that he shouldn't have been. I was always there. I was that big brother, you know, that his boys that shouldn't have been around him, they would always be, you know, like, oh, damn. Like, you know, I'm a singer, songwriter, you know, I make music. My career is very special. I got to protect my brand, but I don't play by my family. So, you know, when it came down to that, it's like, it'll get real.
Yeah.
And so I was very, you know, it goes 0 to 100 real quick when it came for him. And I always protect him. And so I just felt like when I couldn't protect him and I lost control of that, then I would feel like defeated. And then my grandma and, you know, everybody would be worried about him and stuff. And just towards the last few days, though, he was coming around a lot. And mind you, we live together, and he lives with me and stuff. And but he would come around a lot, like overly. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, he's turning the heel. You know, he's starting to get back into it. Because he was a basketball player, too. That's the thing. Not only did he worked on cars, but he was a basketball player. He tore his ACL 2 years ago. And he had like a bucket handle meniscus tear. So he needed surgery. He lost his passion and his drive because he wanted to play basketball very bad. That was his form of therapy. So he lost that. He was also a recording artist. You know what I mean? He was a talented, like, the future for his career was just now getting to where it was, and I was developing him. You know, he signed under the same independent label as you know, as me, Look At You Music Group, independent label out here in Sacramento, California, you know, co-founded by my mentor Carl Thornton Jr. But, you know, his talent was like, man, like, you know, it's like, of course, because he was a product of me, you know, growing up. Like he used to always tell my boys and stuff, he would always tell me, like, when we had to share a room, we had to share a bed, you know, he would be like, man, I had to, you know, go to sleep listening to him recite his verses and singing and stuff right next to me. So he'd always tell him that, you know, and then pretty soon, you know, we just ended up talking about it, and one day we just made it happen. I got him in the studio. We made a record. It was called This Way. That was his first song we ever did. That song blew up. It blew up on my album. It was a record. It became an anthem out here in the California area. It made major radio. You know, had millions of views on it. It went really well. That was his first song, his first record. You know how long it took me to even get my first million on one song, let alone
a decade or so.
Yeah, literally close to it.
Yeah.
And he gets on one song, and his first song he gets a million. I was lightweight jealous, and I'm not a jealous person. I'm not a jealous person, you know. But
yeah,
I was
you earned
like,
it for him, right? He got he skirted a lot of the time by listening to your teachings.
His voice was unique, though. That's what made the song pop off. The record was cool because I had a good fan base. You know, I had some traffic. Nice little traction behind it, but it was his voice that sold the record. He was the second verse on the song, but like him being on the song was like, you know, different.
I'll have to check that out.
But his sound and his voice was unique, because I knew it wasn't just me, because we put his second single out and he hit like almost 300,000 on it within like the first month of the record being out.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, it's something with him. It ain't just a me thing. You know what I mean? It's a him thing. And when he would go to the shows and stuff, we'd be at performances and people would be like, that's Jake the Majesty. Like, you know, people were starting to really love what he was doing. That's and cool. The traffic was there. And you can tell that made him happy. But when he lost my mom, that even went away. He wasn't even in the studio.
So he had nothing left, no passion.
Yeah, I kept asking you when to get in the studio, and he would just be uninspired. He'd say, I'll get to it. You know, you could tell, though.
So his life was shrinking. That was one of the signs. Yeah. Hobbies were leaving. Passions were leaving.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's
and at that time, I mean, I'm so focused on my career because I'm like, I have to make sure we're good. And that's how I pay our bills. Because there'll be times that he needs help financially, and I'm not going to let my brother be on the streets, you know? And so, like, I had to work really hard, you know, and I don't have a regular job, 9 to 5. You know, I didn't have a regular, you know, situation where I could just rely on that safety net. Now, obviously, that's my choice personally, but I mean, I'm following a certain path. This is my walk of life. This is my purpose. This is what I'm doing. And I'm trying to lead by example. And I'm trying to show people out there, especially younger generation, that if you want it, you can have it. And if you set your mind to anything in this life, you can accomplish it. And so that's my path. That's what I was showing them. That's what I show the family. That's what I would show everybody. You know, when I was coming home, I would be handing my grandma, you know, money and certain stuff and just doing things that I could do, showing them it's like, it's possible. You know, not having to rely on the help, and you know, just being an entrepreneur and just kind of being on that the risky side of life, you know, living life on the edge a little bit, suspense. So showing him that was the way, and I kept telling him, I was like, just keep working, because it's gonna happen for you too. You know, it's for sure gonna happen for you too. And, you know, I was like, I mean, I covered all of his studio expenses. I covered his music videos. Like, we have unreleased videos that we're going to put out of him and stuff. You know, we have a lot of stuff we're working on for him specifically. But, like, just the aspect of, you know, now it's remembering, like, just his story. But seeing all them signs, man, now it hits so different. But, again.
What do you think shrinking hobbies, stop doing things that made him happy. It sounds like he wouldn't even isolating socially. What else were you seeing?
Definitely isolating. I mean, he was a ladies' man too. You know, he was one of those. He liked to be always around girls and stuff. He was, you know, he's like me. We were raised by women, so we enjoyed. You know, we're gentlemen at the end of the day too, because we was raised right. But he would always like have some type of a girl situation. Me, I was different, where I was like, yeah, I would have my little relationships or whatever, you know, but if the energy wasn't being reciprocated, and if I felt like I wasn't fully devoted into a situation, then I would kind of be more so to myself. You know, I would have no problem walking away. He was like that, you know, like, oh, I gotta, you know, have some company around me and stuff. You know, he had that. He's a little sensitive, man, but trust me, he's sensitive, but he was like hard-headed, like stubborn. Virgo, so you know,
there you go.
It's crazy, but like seeing him cut off that too, like he just wasn't worried about that, you know. He would be just like to himself all the time, and I would be in the car with him. We would be driving, or I'd just be in the same room with him, and I could just like feel, I could feel it. So I'm big on energy, and so I would always be like, "Hey, you good, bro?" And he would just like.
Try to hide it.
Just, it's like, yeah, I'm fine. Just a little stressed with some money, you know, whatever. But there'll be times that he'll reach out and lash out on me. And I'll be like, hey, man, you know, like, are you okay? You know? And towards the end, like the last days, I feel like I was starting to pick up on something, because I even mentioned, I was like, what if we get you into some type of therapy? I was like, what if we just get you some type of someone to speak to? And he was like, no, I don't need that. You know, I'm okay. And I was just like, bro, I was like, I don't want you to turn to. And the biggest thing I was thinking, right, was like, I was thinking like, okay, I don't want you to, you know, go under some substances or, you know, do some drugs or do something that's gonna mess up your mind and, you know, ruin your life and like, you know, all that. Because once you get addicted to stuff like that, you can start betraying everything around you because that's all you care about is your habit. And so I told myself, I was like, I don't want anything, you know what I mean, to get in the way of him trying to better himself. And then so that's why I was really trying to look into it. And then, you know, I could see the depression, and I looked up. I had called like a grievance counselor, and I described his symptoms and stuff, and they said, you know, he has manic depression. And I was like, okay, so then I went on this crazy research thing. I'm a big researcher. I like to figure out what's going on with something. And I had like researched everything. And I was looking up manic depression, and they said it's a higher rate that someone harms themselves than they don't, because the thoughts get so loud in their head. And so I was like, I felt like I was like in this like maze trying to figure out how to solve a riddle for him, you know? And I kept like just wanting to be there for him, especially towards the ending. I was trying to really talk to him a lot. Like, I was figuring a lot out, but he wasn't giving me a lot. He was like leaving me in a blank trail, you know. He wasn't leaving any pieces. There was no breadcrumbs behind. I couldn't follow anything.
He was going to make sure that it didn't get interrupted.
I couldn't follow anything at all. And I sat there, and I would worry about him, you know. I worry about him. I mean, the guys knew, you know, my manager knew. I always talk about him, worried about him and stuff, you know. But it's like when you're worried about someone, you're like, I just want to get him some help, but you can't lead a horse to water and make him drink. And, you know, so I was trying to lead the horse to water. I was just hoping he was going to drink it. And then, you know, we had that celebration of life, which was August 3rd. And then August 4th came. He came home. He came home because me and him were, we're doing a family dinner, like just a dinner, you know. It was cool. He came home that night. My manager brought him home because he parked his car. He left his car because he had a tire. He had popped his tire, so he was on a spare, so he couldn't drive it. So my manager was like, okay, I'll bring you back, you know, in the morning. We'll go get all that figured out. My manager is super supportive. Ronnie Ramos, he's a, you know, big cousin. He's actually my cousin. But when my manager's like very like supportive on your mental health, supportive on wanting to make sure you're good. And so he was always helping out when it comes to that. It's like he would assume responsibility. You know, it's like you're his priority, like you're his child or something, you know. And so he was always trying to make sure Jake was good too. So he had brought him back, and me and the guys, because I stay with my brothers. Like, we have an influencer house when it comes to just, you know, successfully trying to put yourself in a room with the right energy and put yourselves together, put your minds together to become successful and manifest greatness and manifest the destiny for you. So we try to put ourselves in that same energy, right? But when it comes down to he come back, we had all made these this food. We were sitting down, we was gonna eat, and usually he'll go to his room and he'll eat. He stayed down. He wanted to eat with us. And so I'm like, okay, in my mind, I'm like, this is really like, this is good. I feel good about this. He's actually out. He's being social right now. He's out with, you know, the guys. He's enjoying his food. But literally now it's like he was making his rounds. He was making his rounds.
Oh, that's a tough realization.
And, you know, and because he even had like pulled me to the side. And I didn't even realize this until, like, you know, obviously present time. He pulled me to the side and he said, I'm just sorry for putting you through everything. And I was like, man, it's like, just keep being better. I just want better for yourself. And he said, don't worry, you're not going to have to worry about that.
Damn.
And I was just like, in my mind.
What did you think at that time that meant?
I'm thinking like, he's really about to like.
Take off.
Like he's hearing what I'm saying. Okay. He's motivated now. You know, like I was saying, like finally, like maybe I got through to him some way. Because when he's looking me in my eyes, said, I love you. He's like, I love you, big bro. You know, and I told him, I was like, I love you too, man. He's like, you're not going to have to worry about, you know, the hardship anymore and all that stuff. And I was like, looked at him and I was like, man, just keep doing better, you know. And he's like, I got you, you know. And I was like, I got you too. And he's like, thank you. He's like, I appreciate you. He said, this is motivation for me. And I'm just like, all right, you know. But I didn't think that day he shook my hand was the 4th. So Ronnie got him on the 5th. The 4th, I remember waking him up. My manager texted me. He's like, hey, Jake's not answering. Like, go to the room, let's get him up. So I open the door, get him up, and told him good morning and everything. And he, shook my hand, and that was the last time I ever made contact with my brother. That day, that morning, because he stayed the night at my grandma's house. They went to go get the car fixed, and then he did his brakes. He did his brakes and stuff. He fixed his brakes, outside, because he was a mechanic. So he fixed his brakes. The last thing I thought in my mind that he was fixing his brakes to go do his big one at Forest Hills Bridge. You know what I mean? And so that whole time, I'm just like, wow, you know what I mean? Replaying it in my mind, just like, okay, I'm happy he's fixing his brakes. He's making initiative. He's, seems really good right now. And that's the thing. They usually say when you're crying out for help, you're going to leave some sign. You're going to leave some cry out for help, signs, right? When they don't want you to know, they will they will lead you astray. They will make you think nothing of it. And that's what it was, right? And so he had called me that night, August 5th. That night he called me, and me and him were on the phone for like a couple hours, just talking about nothing. Just talking. He's like, yeah, man, I got the brakes done. I feel good. Feel really good about everything. And I was like, man, I feel good too, thank you. She's like, all right, I'm about to pay grandma's phone, I'm about to make sure everything's good. He's like, just let me know, what time we got to get together tomorrow. Because me and him had a prior engagement. We had to, go to a meeting, and I had an appointment around it was around 11:30 that I had an appointment. So he's like, all right, I'll be back, and we'll head out. I was like, okay, cool, cool, sounds good, normal stuff, right? And so he goes to sleep that night. He texted me like 4 a.m, which is normal for us. We're up late. We're night owls. So he's texting me at 4 a.m, just telling me, good night. He's like, just telling me certain things. He had texted, said, I'm struggling mentally right now. I said, I just want to let you know. And he was like, but I'm going to do better about reaching out to you more. And I was like, okay, I got you, man. Like, I'm here for you.
And this is the morning of the 6th?
This is that morning of the 6th. And I was like, of course, just reach out, like, let me know. I was like, and I texted him too. I was like, reach out to Ronnie too. Cause Ronnie's, like I said, he's the big cuz. So I said, reach out to him. I said, reach out to whoever you need to. I said, but I'm here for you. I said, I'm truly here for you, man. And I said, we're going to figure this out together like we always have, since we was attached to each other's hip from the day one, And so I talked to him, and it was like 8:37 in the morning. And he had texted me and said, I'm about to be on my way soon. And I'm like, okay. So, okay, I'm about to start getting ready. You know what I mean? He's like, yep, see you soon.
And you didn't think anything more of these texts?
No, because he's still at my grandma's house.
Yeah.
My grandma's like, they're eating breakfast together. Their last breakfast together. And so my grandma said that he had left his water bottle, which he usually never does. But he left his water bottle, he left a couple things, and he just told grandma's like, okay, I gotta go get, he's like, I gotta go get with Jer, because that's what he called me. He called me Jer. That's what a lot of people close to me would call me, But he's like, I gotta go get with Jer. He said, I'll be back later on. And so I had fell asleep. It was like 9 o'clock. And I had fell asleep. But I set my double alarm. So by the time I set my double alarm, I wake up and it's 10:16. Last time we had talked was around 8:47. It was 10:16. I got his location. And I look at his phone thinking okay, where's he at, right? So we gotta be somewhere at 11:30. I'm looking at his phone and I'm like, I see Auburn, Forest Hills Bridge. I see it on his location. And in my mind, I'm like, did he go to the lake with his boys? I'm like, did he decide he was going to take a peaceful day or something? Or did he make a quick stop? In my mind, I'm thinking those things oh. So I'm like, let me call him. Call him.
It never crossed that he might have jumped off or anything.
Never.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Sure.
In that moment, it didn't. And I'm sitting there like, okay. So I call him, right? No answer. I was like, that's weird. I call him again. No answer. By now, it's like 10, like 20. He took his, he died by suicide at 10:37. So at this point, we're minutes. We're minutes. And I'm looking at, it's like 10:20, right? I blew him up like probably at least 15, 16 times at this point. But the thing is with my brother, right, when we have things we have to do, he's a very detailed person. So he was never the type that would not answer me when me and him have something going on. That was what threw me off big. That didn't sit real. My stomach sank to my, just sank to the ground. And I've always had good intuition like my mom. My mom's always taught me to be very aware, very, very conscious to stuff. So at that point, now my flag meter was up. So I called my sister thinking like, okay, my sister lived with my grandma. So I called my sister thinking like, okay, maybe they went to the lake. Like, I was like, oh, where are you at today? I didn't want to say nothing. Like, I didn't want to worry them either.
Sure.
So I'm thinking like, oh, where's you guys at? I get on a call real quick. And mind you, these calls are fast.
Sure.
Like, I'm moving fast. At this point, I'm not like trying to waste any time. I'm second to second, minute to minute type stuff. And as I'm talking to my sister, get off the phone really quick. She's like, oh, no, I'm in the bed, whatever. I'll call my grandma. I was like, hey, how was the morning? I said, you enjoy it, all that. She said, yeah, we had a good breakfast with me and Jake, and, we was feeling good, all that stuff, right? So, yeah, he left to come get you like an hour and a half ago. And I was all like, in my mind, she said, he's not there yet? And I was like, oh, no. I was like, he probably is just handling something real quick. I said, we don't have to be there yet. I said, I got to go, Grandma. So I got to go. I'll call you back later. She's like, okay. Like, she knows I'm busy. She knows I'm very busy. She knows my life. So, so let's, I'm going to call you back. And then I get ready to, look at his location again. It's not changing. It's not changing at all. So I'm texting him like, yo, this is not like you. Like, what's going on? Are you okay? A couple of screaming text messages like WTF type stuff, at that point I'm like, what's going on, bro? Like, what's up? Like, what's going on? Please tell me you're just at the lake. Mind you, this is my mom's Notorious bridge she's talked about since we were kids.
Really?
She brought us to that bridge when we were kids.
And
my
for what
sisters,
purpose?
Just she wanted us to know about, like, she said, this is Notorious, and she told us what it was about.
Yeah, it's basically a monument.
She told us when the bridge used to be 3 foot tall before they put the 6 feet rail thing on it.
Okay.
She told us about it. She said I used to climb over it, and she said just because she was so like petite and like able to, like, she could swing off of a tree branch if she wanted to and just feel free. She was that type of spirit. And so she just like, not only is it a cool thing to admire because it's a beautiful scenery, she's just like, this is this bridge. And then she said, but I also want to tell you something else about it. And at a young age, she told us what it was for and notoriously what it was about, since I think the 90s or something like that.
The guardrail, right? That you put, yeah.
And she used to even tell us where people would write the notes and stuff, and write their little names and signatures engraved into the stuff before they got ready to, jump off and stuff. And so she told us all that, right? So when I see him, I'm like, okay, this is the bridge my mom always used to talk about. And, in my head, I'm just like, okay, this could be a place where he felt closest to my mom too.
Still had hope.
Understanding, yeah, in that moment. But then something clicked in. I think my reality set in, and I called my manager. I'm like, hey, I was like, man, something's not right. The location of where my brother's at is this. And at this time now, I'll call Ron, I'll call him. Because even in the tough type of stuff, I'm going to call him. I'm not going to, he's not the type that's going to worry if I call him with a pressing matter. And at that point, I didn't know who else to call. I was about to just go, make a decision on my own. But I'm advised heavily not to make decisions on my own because it's my career and my life and stuff. So they always kind of tell me to check in with my business team, which is what I do, and I follow that. I trust them. So at that point, called him. He got to my house in like 6 minutes, 7 minutes. We live like 8 minutes away from each other, but he got to my house like fast. We get in the car, and the whole way we're there, I'm just like telling Ron, I was like, bro, I don't have a good feeling about this. I said, this is not like my brother to be not answering. This is not like Jake to not text me back, especially when we got prior engagements. I said, that's not Jake. And I said, that's what's scaring me. I said, and he went to the bridge. And I kept saying, I was like, he went to Mom's bridge. And I was like, bro, he's not getting back to me. And Ron's just like, oh, maybe he just wanted to take a personal day, whatever, right? Now, he admitted after he was scared once he knew. When he was driving up, he was trying to keep his energy cool. So we was just kind of joking, making him laughing, right? We didn't want to, think anything of it. And so, but he admitted after, he was like, yeah, I feared for the worst as soon as we were on our way up too. He said, I just didn't want to believe anything. And the same way with me,
Sure.
But being that I'm like my brother's keeper, and, he's been attached to my hip since a child, man. Like that situation, I just knew something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. And it was resonating in my brain like something's not right. And so we get there. We get to where his phone location is, right? And we keep trying to find his phone. Like, it's like, okay, we can find the car. If we find the car, then we know, it could be wherever we could be able to find him, Because at that point, in my mind, I know something's wrong. So at that point, I'm thinking, like, you know what? Now I just got to find him before it's too late. That's how my mindset was. I was a race for time. He passed away at 10:37. I got there around like 11:15, 11:20. We're on there. We're chasing after him, right? We're a race against time. Like, feel defeated, feel like desperate, vulnerable, like everything on the table. And I get a call from my brother. I get a call from LaShawn. LaShawn is he's another very talented recording artist in the city, but he's also, it's my brother, it's my best friend, my business partner, and we all live together. So he gives me a call, and he's just like, hey, bro, where you at? And I'm like, hey, what, like, what's going on? It's like, I'm with Ron, like, we're handling something, not trying to, like, worry. He said, you need to come home now. And I was like, well, what's going on? He's like, bro, just get home, please, so we can talk about it later. He said, it's kind of emergency. I was like, well, all right, well, I'm handling something very important right now. He's like, bro, you got to come home. I'm like, LaShawn, I'm trying to look for Jake.
Yeah.
And he's like, bro, please just come home. Mind you, the police, the sheriffs showed up at the house because they know where we live. They showed up at the house, and they got him first. So they told him what happened first.
How did they know?
Because it got called in.
Okay.
It got called in, and they were able to identify everything. And, so we're driving. Meanwhile, we're out there at the bridge. And, they get on the phone, and they're just like, hey, is this, Jeremy? Is this the brother of, so-and-so? He said, well, can you please get home? And I'm just like, what's going on at this point? I'm like, well, we're not supposed to give you this information over the phone, but, your brother had passed away, at that point. That's life.
Were you driving at that point?
We were in the car. I turn over and I look at my manager. He look at me. It was theatrical. I lost a piece of me that day.
Yeah.
A piece of my heart was taken from me, for sure. And
do you feel like you grasped that what had happened when he told you, or did shock take over? What was that like in that moment?
Everything was a blur. I was just like, I really lost my baby brother, in my mind. And I just got like super just theatrical. I was like, he's really gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I cried immediately, but like a screaming out cry. Like, just, I didn't know how to control my emotions. And then stuff that you have to call your family, and you have to call the people that care about you and that know him and everything. That's the hard part too, having to give that news. So I was like, how am I going to even tell my grandma who was just having breakfast with him? How am I going to call my sisters? How am I going to do all of that? So I speed back to the house. We speed back to the house, man. And I get home. LaShawn's right there. He just comes out, literally gives me this big hug. We just start crying in each other's arms, you know what I mean? 5 minutes, like 6 minutes, literally just there. Like, and he just like, you could tell it's just like it's a different feeling. It's so silent you can hear a pin drop, you know? And mind you, like, this is affecting of people in my home, you know, not only because it's like, this is like their brother. So like, it's so surreal, the feeling of that, because it's one thing to lose someone that you kind of can prepare for. In some ways. You can never prepare for losing a loved one, but if you know at least a natural causing or something, right? But unexpected out of nowhere like that in the middle of your life, there's no way to even embrace anything. It's right there. It's like a truck hits you fast. And I just, like, at that point, I'm just like, wow, I really don't have words, you know? And I was like completely just broken. And in that moment, for 10 minutes, I was like, I'm done. Screw everything. It's over.
Were you thinking of suicide as well, or just give up? Who knows?
No, I was just thinking, like, I'm about to be a shell. Forget everything that I've ever worked for. In that moment, I'm done. My brother's not here no more. Screw life. It's done. 15 minutes later, it was a different feeling. You know what I mean? I stressed for 10 minutes, and then I'm, you know, I can't stay down. I was hurt to the core, but, you know, for 10 minutes, I was thinking in my mind like it was done. But then,
well, you got other people you got to take care of, older sibling, and tell all these people.
And then just remembering my purpose and stuff, and a lot of things he said in his note where he said, "Go be the star that you've been working so hard to be." And he's just saying, "I'm proud of you," and he's just like, "Don't quit. You take me with you," type stuff. And I was like, you know, there's no way I can't. I already promised my mom, and then seeing that from my brother is like, you know, that's reassurance to know, it's like, I gotta finish the job. I can't stop, even though it'll never be the same. You know, I think like getting to where I'm going and just everything I have on the way for me is still not gonna feel the same, because you can't share those experiences and stuff with the ones you've always wanted to. But I know he's gonna be happy and smiling down on me, and I know he's still here with me. You know, and just knowing that provides some comfort. To have heard his last words, and I have them in my phone, you know, and I read them a lot and stuff, I know I can, you know, cope as much as I can. But yeah, when I lost him that day, we had to go give the news to my grandma, and I had to go in person. That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, because I walked in, we pulled up like deep, like probably like 10 people deep. My manager, LaShawn, my brother Darmani, my cousin Kari, my grandma's like best friend, because I called her and I let her know what happened. I said, I need you here, please. I wanted to have a nurse on standby or a paramedic on standby, because I thought my grandma was about to lose it. My sister, I had to call my other sister, because my sisters, they're twins. Ruth and Rachel, they're twins by 5 minutes apart, but one's like very theatrical and dramatic, and the other one's like kind of like me, and she can handle it certain ways. And I love them to death, both, you know. But I called, you know, technically the youngest one by 5 minutes, and I told her what happened first, and she helped me. Me and her had to process it, but you know, my sister even knew what was going on in some way, because she kept calling. She said, how come his phone is saying it's here in this place, because by then they took it to the jailhouse, like to the sheriff office. So she's looking at the location, because we all got the location. She's like, why's Jake's phone like this? And I'm not answering, because I couldn't get on the phone with my sisters or my grandma. They're blowing me up the whole time. Meanwhile, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to give the news.
Yeah.
And so we wait. My sister was in Berkeley, right? She was finished off her last, because she go to Cal. She was finished off her last little term. She packed her stuff up that whole day, and she moved back in like that same day, all within that day. So like I walk up and we're with my grandma, and I had to give the news to my grandma, and that just giving the news to my grandma is like it's still
fucked you up.
Crazy, yeah. Beyond messed up, man. Like days I'm very grateful that I'm strong and I have the strength to be who I am, because I'm like, man, like this is stuff I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I've been with my brother. He's 24 years old, and I mean, since he was, literally a baby, you know what I mean? He was my responsibility. That's how it always was.
Do you still struggle with guilt today?
I don't want to call it guilt, because guilt tends to me that you're blaming yourself or that you're guilty of certain things, and I don't want to have a confused mind like that. I struggle with just missing him. You know what I mean? I miss him every day. I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time to be able to be there for him.
Has it changed how you view existing relationships or any other goals in life? How has it impacted you?
Absolutely does. I look at life so much differently now. I used to never understand the term even suicide. I used to never get it, to be honest with you. I used to like see it as a easy way out, right? Being honest, full transparency. Now, being that I went through it in the most craziest way possible, I mean, I've never felt more connected to it. And I just, my heart goes out to the people that it's not their fault. And you have to be one brave, tough human being to even go through with something like that. To
actually do it, I know.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Like, it's, do you say profanity on here? You do? Okay, for sure. I want to make sure, like, that's the toughest shit you could go through, man. Yeah. Like, literally raw and uncut, that shit will mess you up to know, like, I couldn't do it personally. I personally couldn't do it. And so to see that somebody has the strength to want to, just the courage and the bravery to really want that escape for themselves, because they don't have any other escape, is like the realest thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? I have a quote. I actually pull it out. It's the last words that my brother said in this note. I won't read the whole note, but I have the note that my brother had said, and it hits me different every time. But he said, "The tears I shed while writing this broke me to my point. Don't be sad for me, just know that this was no one's fault or causing. I just can't handle being alive but so alone."
Damn.
And that right there hits me different every single day. Every single day I wake up. Every single day that I go to sleep, I barely sleep. I barely sleep. I have a support system, you know what I mean? I have a very, very dear person in my life, helps me go to sleep, literally helps me want to be okay. And it's not that I'm a codependent human being, because I know everyone has to be able to do things alone, but I mean, without my support system, without, a special person in my life, like, man, I wouldn't even be able to sleep right now, truthfully. So I'm just so grateful for the people around me, It's my favorite person in the whole freaking world, because, like, to be able to be dealing with what I'm dealing with, and then have someone like, her just be able to respect you and be able to, understand and still support and all that stuff, and like help you out and just make sure you good and mentally and physically, emotionally, and calm you and be able to help you go to sleep and stuff like that. It's just crazy because like even to the point, man, I feel like some days I can't even sleep. And I don't want to, like, I'm never a person to want sympathy, right? I don't use these type of things for sympathy. I don't go through what I go through to try to say, pity me, feel sorry for me.
It doesn't come off that way.
I don't. I never do. I just want people to know this is real life. This is real life shit that I'm dealing with. And I know if I've dealt with it, or if I'm dealing with it right now, someone else has dealt with it probably 10 times even worse.
And can get through it.
Yeah, can get through it. That's the key. What's your response? But leaning on people around you and not being afraid to ask for help is the start. Everybody's so afraid to ask for help. No millionaire in this world has ever become a millionaire by themselves. I could tell you that. Someone's had help some way, behind the scenes, some way, somehow, along the way, we've had help. And so normalizing the fact that it's okay to cry out for help. It's okay. Because I'll tell you right now, without my support system, without the people that's here for me right now, I could not do it. And that doesn't mean that you're not strong. That just means, like, this life is built off of humanity and human connection and being around genuine people and being around physical life is what you need. And I think that's a big thing. Like, people that don't have that, they feel so alone, even though we have that, right? If they're not getting what they need out of life, if they feel so alone, if they feel misunderstood, if they feel like that voice is so dim and they don't matter anymore, then they go to the point of no return.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it affects you. Death in general affects you. Unexpected stuff like this, where you just don't know. I tell you, that's why I feel like my life's a movie. I'm like, it's a script. I'm like, stop writing this damn script of me, you know? Because I'm like, it's crazy. You know, it's like I think about all the little things. Like today I woke up this morning, you know what I mean? I did this with my mom too. I just, before one of my shows, I put hashtag Super Sonya, because that's my mom's name. And, you know, Sonya is her name, but Super Sonya was her little thing she went by. And today I just woke up we got on this show. I put, you know, long live Jake, hashtag number 16, you know, and just wrote it on here. Because things like that is what helped me feel closest to the ones that I don't have here anymore physically. And just doing things like that to cope. But being able to tell people I'm not okay, but I will be okay. Because when people ask me, how are you doing? I'm not going to just tell them like a lot of people probably do. It's like, oh, I'm fine. Everything's good. I'm taking it day by day.
Yeah.
I'm doing the best I can for the best that I can with myself, with my life, with everything I'm dealing with. I'm making do with what I have. But I promise myself that every 24 hours that I have, I'm going to make every single hour of it count. And that might mean that I just want to sleep. Just because I want to sleep a whole day doesn't mean I'm depressed and giving up. It might mean I'm depressed a little bit because right now it's hard to not have some type of depression.
Sure.
But it's all about how you respond to it. So I feel like being able to go through these things and recognize that I'm going through it for this reason is what's helping me.
Because you know it's temporary, huh?
Yeah, because it's helping me, you know? There's days I just feel energy, lifeless. But it doesn't mean that I'm giving up.
Yeah.
And I know that. And I know I have such a good support system around me. If they see me losing it, they would reach out. And I think that's what we need to normalize. So I took the time and, you know, I was really, really not hesitant, but very cautious about how I approached it. But I'm organizing a suicide awareness and mental health campaign. I'm turning the heel with my career. I already have been a voice for the ones that can't speak for themselves. I've already been an advocate for using my platform to change lives, but I'm going to take that and put that on steroids, and I'm going to turn that into a different aspect of my life, and I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to telling this story and keeping my brother's story out there so I could change other lives. Because I know there's so many people that are dying inside right now and they feel like they can't go through these things and they feel like that. So I want to connect with them. And I've always been able to connect with people. I've always had that gift to be able to reach out and speak to people. I've always had that gift to be able to reach out and provide some type of motivation, some type of life coach type of advice to help people. And so I will not silence myself anymore, and I will not hold back. I think you be doing yourself a disservice. A lot of people get to these places, right? They get successful, they get in the spot, and they forget where it all matters. They forget what matters, and that's the life. That's a human being's heartbeat. And so if I can use my voice and use my platform to make a difference for mental health and suicide awareness, that's what I'm going to do. You know, I've teamed up with Generate Media. My manager works with a production and film company and stuff. They're called Generate Media, and we're filming a documentary on my brother's story, but not just that, on a universal, story and topic about suicide awareness stories and mental health and how we can change and impact the lives. And I've been cleared to be able to give the name of the campaign and the movement, but I came up with it with my manager, but I was thinking really deep and hard, and it's called Behind a Smile. Because my brother sat there every single day, and he looked me in my face and he would smile at me. You never know what's going on behind that smile. You never know what's going on behind somebody's smile. And I'll never forget that. There's so many people you probably run into in a day that'll look at you and smile in your face, and you don't even know what they're going through. You wouldn't even know the half of it. So mental health and suicide awareness is some of the biggest topics and most important topics to even think about. And that's why I'm going to team up with, we're still looking for sponsorships, and we're still looking for endorsement, people or partners that want to collaborate, and nonprofits, anybody that wants to reach out. So if they see this podcast and, it inspires them to want to reach out and be connected to the story. Because like I said, it's bigger than me. This is a humanity thing.
Yeah.
This isn't just a me thing. This isn't just a tell my story thing. This is a humanity thing. This is a life. Like, it's crazy because it's vibes with humanity, but it's like, this is a humanity thing.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. And that's why
I guarantee there's someone listening to this right now that is thinking about suicide, or maybe even planning for it.
I think we've all thought about it. Mm-hmm. I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about it. I've thought about it for sure. I've just never had the courage and strength to go through it. And I know that sounds crazy because I'm the strongest person that some people know, but I'm not even strong enough to do that. And it's just because, again, I mean, I view life differently, but I view life differently more than ever now. And I just think that sometimes, man, all it takes is just talking to someone. All it takes is just knowing and kind of hitting a reset button and checking yourself to know, like, being courageous. Some people will go through these things, right? And they get, I don't want this to sound bad, but they get so selfish about what they're going through. Like, for myself, I didn't want to be that way. I didn't want to curl up in a ball. That's why I'm here talking to you. That's why I'm here getting this story out, because I know that at least speaking about it not only is helping me, but it's helping so many other people that see this.
100%.
I want them to know. I want them to realize this is my life, and try being a artist, right, that's on the rise with all these expectations and everything that you're dealing with, and dealing with life as well, dealing with losing your brother, losing someone that you love to this, just death in general.
Yeah.
How are you going to get through it? So it's like, I have to show my fans and show my supporters and show everybody outside that I'm not a robot. And I want them to realize I'm not just here for the moment. I'm not just here because I'm getting money. I'm not just here for that. That's never what matters, because no reality of it is, no matter how successful I get, it ain't going to bring my brother back. That's not going to bring my mom back. It's not going to bring my cousin back. So all that isn't worth my family. I would give anything to have them back. I would be homeless on a cardboard box to have them back.
Of course.
And so being able to just speak up and tell anybody out there right now, don't feel so lost to not pick up the phone and get some type of help, and just feel like you can reach out.
When we say reach out for help, I think that can get overcomplicated, especially by someone who's hurting, because you can't really sort out your own thoughts and emotions when you're in enough pain to make a decision
Very true.
that intense. Maybe getting help can just be calling if you're going through a hard time and asking someone to get some dinner or get some food or just being around other people instead of like, because it might be too much for someone to, hey, I'm thinking about killing myself, call up out of nowhere. But
it is, and it's very hard.
Do you want to get coffee?
Hard. And you know the craziest thing too, my brother would always tell me, and this is probably why he would say, I would never do that to myself. He said, I would never do that.
Really?
When he would go through, he would always throw it out there. He would say, I feel suicidal, but I'm not going to do it. And I would like that. He would say that for like, a couple years and stuff. And he would always just tell me, I'm just telling you. He's like, I would never do it though. And I'm looking at it like, okay, well, I'm glad you realize that. I'm glad you understand that. I'm glad that you wouldn't do that. Like, thankfully, because what I would always tell him too, and this is what I tell everybody, the people that do it, there's no, it doesn't matter, like, as a loved one, unless someone physically looks at you and tells you, I'm going to do this to myself, and you decide that you're not even going to take that serious, you cannot stop somebody that's going to do it. You can't control it. So I always tell my brother, I said, just remember, whatever decision you make, I love you, and we all love you, but we can't stop you. I was like, I can't stop you from making a decision like that. I would just hope and pray that you never would, because there's so much life that he had left.
Yeah.
There's so much life that people have left. I mean, the same day he passed away, my manager had just set up a warehouse job for him because he was just kind of struggling with a little bit of finances and stuff. And even though I made sure he was good, he wanted good for himself too and stuff. But really nice new job. Found out in the morning that he had. Ron didn't even get a chance to call him and tell him about it yet. You didn't even get a chance for that stuff.
Stuff was gonna just hang on, man. Stuff will turn.
Yeah, and like, I just wish that he just knew how much life he had left. I wish anybody that feels like they're at rock bottom knows how much life they have left.
And how quick it can turn for the better.
And how quick it can turn. I've been at rock bottom so many times in my life. How you stay away from rock bottom is never allowing yourself to digress if you can control it. There's a lot that you can't control in life. There's a lot of things that are going to happen that's out of your control and out of your jurisdiction of how you can react to it, but you can always respond. If you respond in a way of positivity, if you respond in a way of perseverance and just never giving up, like you say, you get knocked down, you just keep getting yourself back up. If you respond that way, the sky is the limit for what can happen.
And what you can endure in life, which you're going to need. Life's tough.
Really, it is. And that's the thing, too. I have to find a happy medium. It's like I have to find balance. I have to be my own, and I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite, and tell someone to go get therapy when I don't personally do it myself. But I will advise to say, hey, therapy could be a good outlet for you if you need that. I think we all probably need a little bit of therapy. I just find more therapy in what I do and what my purpose is. And I think that I've been blessed to have the mindset that I do have, but I have such a solid support system around me. And, I was blessed with that. But I also worked really hard in my life, and the right people came into my life for a reason, because I'm on my right path. When you're on your right path in life, everything happens for a reason. Everything will line up. All the stars will align for you. Doors continuously open for something you're meant to do. And everything that I've done in my career, in my music career, in my business and what I do, doors fly open for me. Everywhere else, doors close. So, I continue to just push. I continue to persevere. I continue to do what I do. I'm working on a dedication album for my brother. It's called 16. 16 was his favorite number. So I partnered with my big bro, Tiger Hood, and, Prodigy Musics, and a couple of big name, producers out here, the support of, Grammy Award winning Derek Allen, and just I have so many mentors, and they're supporting me through this, and I'm partnering with a lot of heavy hitters for this project, and I'm putting out a 16-song album, and it's dedicated to my brother, but it's also dedicated to suicide awareness and mental health.
I'm excited to see the campaign and the album, man. I appreciate you not letting it break you and using it to do greater good. And glad you came on and shared this message. It's going to help someone.
Yeah, I just want people to know, like, these tragedies in life and the story in life and everything that you deal with in this life, man, it's all meant for your story. It's all meant for you to continue to use that as firepower to just continue on, because this life's not fair, and this life is very, very wicked sometimes, and this life could lead you down different places. But if you believe in yourself and you believe in the will that you have to be able to get through everything that you get through, you're gonna overcome it. You're gonna find that silver lining. You're gonna find the light at the end of the tunnel. And I just know, like, the biggest thing, like, I have one of my first songs on, it's called "You're Not Alone." You're not alone. And in that moment of, I guess, disparity, in that moment of wanting to give up and end it all, I think you just have to remember, like, you're not alone. And think of it in a two-part way, because you might be on the other side, right? That you need someone and they're there for you. But you got to think, maybe if you feel the most loneliness and the most dark, where it gets to the point where you feel suicidal, you feel like your mental health is caving in, you're still not alone, because there's thousands of other people that are feeling that same way as you. And if you figure out a way to take that to be like, I'm hurting, I'm down, I'm out, I feel defeated, I hit rock bottom, but I know there's so many other people going through this with me. How can I overcome it? How can I get that lifeline, pull myself back up? How could someone, throw that rope over the boat and stuff, and, reel me back in to shore so I don't drown and sink, And,
I like it, man.
And I think that that's the biggest thing, man, because every day I just try to better myself. Every day I try to, make sure that I'm okay, and I use my courage, I use my life experiences, and I use everything that I've ever been through to be able to provide a structure. I don't have kids yet, but I plan on having, my own young life and stuff, and I want to be able to set the best example for them. I want to be able to be the best version of myself, but not try to be perfect for everybody that's around me in this life. And I just want everybody to realize that if I can do it, that means they can do it too. And if you need help, and if you're in a point in life where you need guidance and you just feel like you don't have the answers and you feel like you're alone, just always remember you're not alone. And always remember there's always somebody out there for somebody. It just matters about getting there.
That's a beautiful note, man. Landed on that. Guys, if that episode moved you or helped you, please check out David's here. It's on a very similar topic with a very well-intentioned message. Thank you.